As long as I've known, I have loved cars, absolutely adored them. And I thought maybe it was time I started doing some reviews. I've had the privilege of owning lots of very nice cars in my life so far. And today I've been given a little toy to play with, which is the new Jaguar F-Type. Literally 1 day old on the 16 plate. Picked it up yesterday, and I thought it'd be fun maybe to start my reviews with this one. And so here goes. So this is it, pretty much. Nice little small cabin. Like I said, this is a brand new model. They just brought out. The car's a little bit smaller than the previous model. This is the 3-litre V6 supercharged version with the 320 horsepower. There's also a 380 horsepower version of the same engine, and they also have a 5-litre V8. But I don't think you're ever going to need the 5-litre V8. This car has more than enough. Like pretty much standard with sports cars these days, it has a sport mode pack built into it, paddle shifters on the main console, so if you need to, you can make this car as drivable as possible. And I have to say, like one of my personal favourites, the Nissan 370 or 350 or Skyline, whichever you come across, it's a real driver's car, and this one has that feeling about it as well. Similar with most new Jaguars, they've really given the car a lot of drivability and made it a lot more fun, and this car is definitely no exception to the rule. I'll say, so the interior, everything is either leather or carbon fibre, nothing else. A bit of a chrome here and there, as you'll see for most of it. You know, they've done a very good job on the inside. The build, the feel, the seat belts. The only things, I'll get the things I don't like about the car out of the way first if you want. Like with most cars I've driven, the first thing that always bugs me is the seat belts don't recline to any natural position. This is what you think they would do, is end up sitting back here in the seat, but more often than not they fall behind, they get stuck in that corner bit there, and they are very difficult to get out. From there, as you'll see here, this is my seatbelt here. Right, to get this now, not so bad, but it can be a lot harder. And I think obviously most people that can afford to buy these sort of cars, probably a little bit into their older years, that's going to be a bit of an ask. Otherwise, the only other thing I think with it is a few touches. The seats aren't fully automatic, so you have to do it with your hands. That's not a massive issue, I don't think, to be honest with you. You've got reclining, you've got some controls here that you can do. Adjust the seat back and forth. It's just moving it back and forth, the rest of it with your hand. Otherwise, the car has every other luxury you'd expect from something this end, top end of Jaguar. I mean, this car in particular is £83,000 brand new. It has all the extras pretty much on it you can imagine. The full trim and the feel of it in here. You know, inside the cabin is absolute luxury. It sits nice and low. It's easy to get in and out of, and everything that you put your hand on is made, well, out of leather. Okay, cool. So the car, instead of starting it, like most cars, starts. And that's the sound you're looking for, right? Cool. So down here, of course, you've got controls. You can make the make it a little bit louder. Turn that off, turn that on. On in neutral. You can hear then. It's a nice sound. Cool. Obviously it's a convertible, fully automatic there. You get your handbrake, which is optional, and then with the gear knob, quite nice. You got like a little pincher back here. You can pull it back into drive. You can shift it over into sport mode. Sorry, that's been stupid having that on. Yeah, shift it over into sport mode. Then you can either pull up and down to change the gears, or as you can see here, it shows sport mode there. You can paddle shift there and it'll change. It shows the gear you're into in second, back to first. That's with the paddles on the steering wheel. Otherwise, the car pretty much can drive itself. You can put it into automatic mode, you can leave it in there in normal or sport mode, and the car will do it all for you. Obviously it's a lot more fun to use the paddle shifts, so just gives you more feel sporty wise. Otherwise, heated seats, everything's pretty much touch sensitive. That touches your turn your seats on. Outside of that mode, it controls the temperature of the car. Obviously it adjusts for having the top down. That's pretty much it. I like the fact they haven't put too many toys in this car. You know, it's got a touchscreen media system, you know, it's got music. The sound system in here isn't fantastic. This is the standard system, and there's one up from this, is just Meridian, which Jaguar do, and then you can go up into the premium version, which I have in my XJ, and that makes a big difference. If you like music, soft down, open road, I would think that's the one thing I would change with this car. I would have put in a better sound system if I bought it personally. Otherwise, and the car is pretty lush. Should we give it a drive? I think we should. So, actually the first thing that I notice about this car is the sound, which you'll hear there, and you hear a bit more in a minute. Make sure the bafflers are on for you. I think it's a big selling point in this. The other things that have stood out to me since first getting it is the ride isn't as hard as predecessors. I think that's quite an important thing. I think if you look at some of the older versions of this car, one of the biggest criticisms we got was that the ride is a little bit too hard. But you'd forgive it that in as much as it is a sports car, right? And this is meant to feel like that. You basically want to rip the guts out of it. You want just an engine and your hands and a gearbox, and that's pretty much it. So the car is currently in just a standard drive mode, automatic. So you push it across and put it into a sport mode. Instantly, it'll push up idles about 1,500 revs higher. I know you'll hear there's a lot more response on the throttle. And it's a hell of a lot faster. Whoa. Another thing I really like about the car is that it has found an ability to perfectly balance the braking system that introduces the gear changes. So like if you're using paddle shifts, obviously you could paddle down to brake as opposed to using the foot brake. But this car in the automatic mode, in both sport and dynamic and standard, does that for you as well. So you get some lovely sounds at the back as it takes the gears down to brake gear, but also gives you phenomenal control in the car's acceleration and braking, both styles. The handling, as you'd expect, is speed sensitive steering. So as you're going along, you really feel it touch up a little bit. Dynamic mode, like you get with all the Jaguar, the Range XF, the XJ, the XE now even, obviously gives a bit of a firmer suspension, firmer feel. That's on as standard. But the only thing I don't like about the dynamic mode, same as it is with my XJ, is when you turn the car off and turn it back on in any given day, well, it does stay on. But unfortunately, we turn the engine off and you leave it overnight. The next day, it goes off again. I find it a little bit frustrating. I think it'd be better if it was on all the time, mostly, unless you turned it off manually. Otherwise, I think I'm probably nitpicking a little bit about this car. Now, this isn't the long-wheel drive version either. Sorry, the all-wheel drive version. And then I haven't driven that to compare, in all fairness, and I was quite surprised. I generally thought this was the all-wheel drive version, simply because of the fact that there is absolutely no give whatsoever in the traction. I'm genuinely so amazed. Other cars I've driven, such as 3-litre sort of V6s, that have much heavier cars than this, that will always have a little bit of diff in the back wheels, will always give a bit of slip in a high acceleration off the mark. But this, in the fastest possible speed mode, it does not slip a centimetre. The traction control on it is so I generally thought it would be the 4-wheel drive version, but it's not. So that, coupled with its phenomenal power, the great sound, its feel, its build quality, this is one of the best cars I have ever driven. I have to say that. And this is why I love it so much. It has a growl. This thing is an animal, and it generally does not like going slow. It wants to do one thing and one thing only, and that is burn up petrol at a phenomenal rate. So there you have it. If you're going to do anything after summer, buy an F-Type.